Pennsylvania CareerLink welcomes you to Highlights Along the Journey, a series of recorded events meant to spark interest along your journey to a new career opportunity. We are employees of the Pennsylvania Department of Labor, Bureau of Workforce Partnership and Operation. Our scope features current, market-driven needs of both employers and job seekers. Our mission is to discover and promote all that is new in employment trends, education, and training in southwestern Pennsylvania and beyond. We're starting the conversation, and we sincerely welcome you to explore these highlights along the journey.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lori Limerick. I'm a career advisor at the Pennsylvania CareerLink in downtown Pittsburgh. And today we're so happy to host Lynn LeBlanc from the Postal Service. Welcome, Lynn. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Lynn presented live at the Pennsylvania CareerLink. Was that last year when things were kind of normal? When things were normal. So she came into our office and gave a wonderful presentation, and we're really happy to have her as well. On the call is Jill Council-Weaverling. She's our veterans representative for business services. So she's on here as well. We have Marlene Betke, and we have Tim Kernan and Maureen. So I think that I cover everybody. Maureen Golden. So with that, we'll get started. Lynn has a presentation to share, and I know you're all anxious to learn more about the Postal Service. So go ahead, Lynn, take it away.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for taking time out to come onto the Zoom meeting today, and I thank the CareerLink for having me. The Postal Service is always hiring. We are always looking for good people. I think one of the drawbacks that I've encountered being the field recruiter is 98% of our hires have to come on non-career, which means, you know, you're not guaranteed hours. You can get benefits and you earn leave. And it's a nice wage to start, but I think that kind of scares some people. But, you know, you stay and you work on, you get converted to career, and the opportunities are endless because we do promote from within. When I was going out to career fairs, people would come up and say, oh, I have 20 years in IT. I want to work in your IT department. And that's wonderful. We'd love to have them, but they have to start as a non-career carrier, a clerk, a mail handler assistant, and then when they get converted to a career, then they can move up in the company. On one of our reports every morning, it says we have 2,556 different job titles in the Postal Service. I have no idea. I might know 40 of them. So there are tons of opportunity. That's how I started. And I'd like to show you how to apply to our website because it's not the most user-friendly, unfortunately. We have tried to make it a little bit easier, but sometimes if you have pop-up windows on your computer or different things, it may kind of hurt your process because you don't realize you're getting what you need. So does anybody have any questions before I start the slideshow? No? Okay. So the first thing, I like to make sure people know to go to our website, www.usps.com. I'll list these are the technical requirements for your computer, okay? Now, some of the people will try to apply on the phone, and sometimes you may be able to get through on applying on the phone. But when job offers are sent and background checks are sent, you cannot do them on the phone. It has to be on a computer. But these are the technical requirements for your computer. These are the requirements to be hired for the Postal Service. You have to be 18 years old, or you could be 16 with a high school diploma. You just cannot currently be in high school. You have to be a citizen or a permanent resident. You have to be able to pass the background check and the medical assessment. They'll ask you about the functional assessments of the job, and you have to be able to lift 70 pounds and different things. You have to have lived in the United States for the last 5 years. If it's a driving position, you have to have a safe driving record. And males who are required to register for selective service must have registered for selective service or have a letter stating why they didn't have to register. Okay, go to the next page. This is our website. Now, one of the things I've learned is, I've been on different websites. I was on Indeed, and I saw a link for postal jobs. And I thought, oh, I'll check it out. And when I did, I realized that postal jobs that they had on there did not take it to the US Postal Service link. It took it to a link that said, oh, $1,000 bonuses. And I knew that wasn't true. It would be nice if we could do that. But one of the things is they wanted me to pay $39.99 to get information about a test. And we never charge a fee for taking the exam, for giving information. And I'm always distressed when I hear people say that they've paid that fee, because it's not refundable. The inspection service is always trying to get those websites off, but it's never ending. They send out information to you. The test now is a personality test, and you take it at home. And the test you can take on your phone or computer. I recommend the computer because it's hard to read the questions on the phone. But again, so this is our website. When you go to our website, this is what the page looks like. So if you want to see what jobs we have available, you want to click on search and apply below. Okay, before you apply, you have to have an account. So you can create an account, and I'll show you how to create an account. It's not that hard. You just have to have some information on, create a user ID and a password. Password always seems to be an issue because it's 15 characters. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so if you already have an account, at the very top, you would click there to log in. Otherwise, you have to fill in your information. First name, last name, and the items with the red asterisk are required. Now, I've had people call me and say, hey, I've tried to go on and it says my email is already registered. If you've created a profile maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and forgot about it, it would be your email. The email is the discerning factor. Since we don't use social security numbers anymore, email. So you want to click down at the bottom to register after you fill out all this information. So this is how you create the profile. And again, if it has a red asterisk, it is required. So your personal information, residence, mailing address, phone numbers, and you have to make sure you use the following format. I had somebody putting NA in one of these things because it didn't apply, and it would not move to the next page, but that wasn't the required format. So you have to make sure you use the format that is requested. And it tells you, use the following format, like on the phone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if you put NA in there, it's not going to move to the next page. All right, work experience. So we want 5 years of your work experience. You can count military, internship, any unemployment you may have. You've been a student. So you just click on the add button and you would add your work experience. Okay, then it asks you these other questions. Are you a current employee? Are you a former employee? If you've ever worked for us, you must list if you've been a former employee, even if it was for a week, because you'll show up in our system. Federal employee, asked about, can we contact your present employer? Have you ever been fired for any job for any reason? And have you ever quit a job after being notified you would be fired? So you would answer these questions. Okay, you would go to the next page in this information, your work history, when you're putting in your work history, you must begin with your most recent position. And I got to quit pointing at the screen because I know you can't see that. So you must go back a total of 5 years. And some of the questions ask like government employment type. Now that, you know, if you were in a government agency, you would list that. If not, it may be NA. But again, make sure you use the requested format and complete all the information with the red asterisks. Okay.
Does it matter if you work for the state before?
Does it matter if you work for where?
The state?
No, that's actually, that's federal. Yeah, I mean, you could list that you work for the state. What happens is you can't work for 2 federal agencies at the same time. So that's information we like to have. So, but yeah, if you can list the state, that's no problem. And the military is technically not considered a government agency, as like if you were working in the Department of Defense. You could be in the military and work for the Postal Service, but you couldn't be in the Department of Defense and work for the Postal Service. It's just with the way things are going in the government, they have certain requirements and restrictions. Okay, so once you list your information, you click transfer, and then you could go ahead and click add if you have more work history to add. Okay, so again, this is the next page that has the information. And like this person, they first put that they were unemployed starting March of 2020. The end date is empty because that means present. You know, whether it was up to September or, you know, whenever, it's currently your present. Okay, and then the other one was the Audubon Society. It just said January 2014 to March. Okay, so you want to list that information. Okay, so you can repeat those steps. Edit and delete are options, and then you click the next page after all your work history has been entered. Now this is the education and training. They like you to add your high school, any college, maybe any technical schools. You can go ahead and add, and after completing the information, you want to hit transfer. Successful entries will populate under the education and training. And once you've listed your education and training, you can go to the next page. Now these are general eligibility questions. Let's see, if you answer yes to question 6. Oh, and this is, do we have any relatives of yours by blood or marriage that are employed with the post office? The reason we ask that is, say your father is a postmaster and you're trying to work at the same post office as your father. That is prohibited due to the nepotism. So we would have to make sure that, you know, your relative, whoever it would not be influencing your schedule, your work, because there, you know, could be a conflict of interest. And whether, you know, you treat everybody the same or not, you know, people in the office might think somebody's going to get special treatment because they're a relative. Okay, so you want to make sure you answer those questions. The first question, a lot of people answer no, they get confused. It says, are you one of the following: a United States citizen? They see a lawful permanent resident alien, a citizen of American Samoa, or any other territory owing allegiance to the United States. Individuals granted only asylum status, refugee status, or conditional permanent resident status are not eligible for Postal Service employment. But if you answer no to this question, you're going to be rejected every time because it's saying that you're not eligible to work in the United States. And I'm surprised sometimes when I'm looking at a posting and I see someone was rejected right away, and it's the same day they applied, and that was the reason why. And I send them emails and I say, this is how you answered the question. If that's not true, you know, you want to change your answer or you will never be considered for employment.
I accidentally did that for one of my applications. Would I have to resend it? Yeah.
Yeah, because if you were rejected because of that, every time you apply, it's going to reject you. You can go in and change that. So yes, please do. Otherwise, you won't be considered. The second
10-4.
question is for retirement pay. Again, if you have retired from a government agency other than the military and you're getting a pension from the government, you do not want to work for the Postal Service because they're going to deduct the money you earn from the Postal Service from your pension. And basically, you may be working for $2 an hour, and it would not benefit any employee to do that. There is an exception period, usually around the holidays, where we will hire annuitants, but it's only for 3 pay periods. The rest of the year, you have to track hours and everything. So we do not hire people that have retired from the government agency. Number 3 is, have you been awarded a contract? That means maybe you clean a post office, or maybe you're a HCR driver, highway contract route, and you pick up and deliver mail. You can't work for a contractor and the Postal Service. It's a conflict of interest. Then the males, if they're born after December 31st, 1959, they must be registered with Selective Service. They can always check their status at www.sss.gov. They have to have their last name, their social security number, and their date of birth. A lot of men who were in high school, they filled out a postcard. They don't even remember. It's 10 years later, and they're like, I never registered. But when we look them up, we do see that they have registered. But you do have to register between the ages of 18 and 26. And if you're not registered, if you've come to the country after the age of 26, obviously you would not meet that requirement, and that would not be considered. But if you live in the country, if you don't register, there's certain federal loans you can't apply for and different things. So all men do want to make sure they are registered by the age of 26. Number 5 asked about drug use. And number 6, again, was that about any relatives. And then if you answer yes, you want to put, who the relative is. This one said cousin, mail handler. So that's not going to be a conflict of interest because they're not going to be your supervisor. I had one instance where a postmaster kept trying to hire his wife. Like, you can't hire your wife. She can work in another office, but she can't work in your office. Obviously there would be whether it was true or not, people were thinking it was going to be favoritism. It's not a good idea for any relative to supervise another relative. Okay, when you finish that, you want to go to the next page. And this is if you have veterans preference. You want to list all your periods of service and select supporting tabs document to attach the DD-214s. If you answer no, it pre-populates 2 to 5. You want to save after each entry. You do have to attach the member 4 copy of the DD-214. That lists all your lost time, your character service, all that, whether it was honorable, dishonorable, under general conditions. And that's something that HRSSC reviews to determine if you are eligible for the points. If you're a disabled vet, you're eligible for 10 points. Unfortunately, not all vets are eligible for 5 points. I wish they were, but there are certain time frames they had to be in the military, certain medals that they had won. So you have to put all that information in shared service. If you don't put something in, shared services will contact you to get that information. So, whatever, if you're entitled to 10 points and you score 100 on a test, you have 110. So technically on my hiring list, you're going to be the first anyhow, okay? But we do have, veterans do take preference over people who are non-veterans, okay? All right, so this is, do you want to add any attachments? Again, if you wanted to add your DD-214, if you wanted to add your resume, this is where you can add attachments. Other than the DD-214, it's really not necessary to add a resume. But you want to, if this is how you do it, you click add, you click browse to locate the attachment, and then transfer. And then once you've completed all your attachments, you would go to the next page, and assessments, and they'll say what assessments you have taken, and it gives you a candidate ID, and you definitely want to make sure you write this down. And it says the table below will indicate the date the assessment was taken and the duration of the assessment. Please select if there were any assessments, you could look at the details. On this one, there is no assessment. If you apply for a position and an assessment is needed, as soon as you finish applying, you immediately get an email. It'll say you have to take this assessment in 72 hours. It does take about 45 minutes, and it has changed where you just take the assessment at home. Before, you would take part of it at home and then you would go to a testing center. They've changed the whole testing process and the test. So now you just take it at home. And like I said, you could even take it on your phone. I do recommend a computer because it's much easier to read. Okay, so at the end, it says overview and release. Do you want to be considered for open vacancies? Make sure you release your profile. If you don't release your profile, it will not let you apply to jobs. So you want to release your profile and save. Then you've completed your profile, and you can look at job opportunities to see what we have available. So you can click on job opportunities, and these are different positions that we offer. The assistant rural carrier, that's a position that normally works just Sundays and holidays, and you deliver only packages. You don't deliver mail. You don't attend the academy. Now the rural carrier associate, that's, driving out in the rural area where they deliver to the mailboxes that are on the street, straight out of the vehicle. Now those positions, the assistant rural carrier and the regular rural carrier are $18.56 an hour, which is a nice rate. But the thing about it is, the office may only need you 1 day a week to fill in. If it's a busier office, Wexford, Mars, Cranberry, they may need you 5 or 6 days a week. So depending on where you apply, it's going to make a difference. Now the city carrier assistant is $17.29 an hour. And this is where you're walking, delivering the mail. It's just where you see your regular mail carriers. Depending on the office, I think the city of Pittsburgh has been converting their CCA quicker than anywhere in the country. It's taking about 6 months to convert to career. Now with the city of Pittsburgh, you could work anywhere in the 152 zip code. So you could be in Penn Hills, 15235. You can be in Upper St. Clair, 15241. You could be in Green Tree, 15242. And it actually also includes Monroeville, McKnight, Plum. So it does encompass a large section. Normally, they'll assign you to one office, but if there's a need in another office, they may say, hey, there was a funeral and 5 carriers are related in McKnight, you're going to have to go to McKnight today. So if you apply at an associate office known as an AO, like Bethel Park, New Kensington, any office that's not in the city, that's usually the office you will work out of. And depending on the office, it's going to depend on your hours.
Wait, I have a question.
Sure.
But I thought family members can't work together.
Well, you can work at an office if we were all carriers. I just cannot supervise a family member.
Okay.
Yeah, one family member cannot supervise another, because if I'm in charge of 10 employees and one of them is my niece, if I let her have off every Saturday, there's obviously going to be consequences with that with the other carriers. So you can work side by side, you just cannot work, be a subordinate of a family member.
Oh, I understand.
No. Okay, great. Indoor, we have the PSE, the Postal Support Employee. Now we have, we either have the mail processing clerk, which is at our facilities, our processing facilities, and that is either here in Pittsburgh, where we're processing the mail, or in Warrendale. Or it could be some of the smaller offices, I think Altoona, Johnstown, Erie, they may still have some mail processing clerks. The others is a sales service distribution associate. You could work back office, where it means maybe you're putting mail in post office boxes, maybe you're putting mail to the carriers that needs to go, or where you could work the window, selling stamps and being a regular clerk at a window where, you're helping the public mail packages. You have to go to a special academy for that. We also have the mail handler assistant, and that is pretty much moving mail off the trucks and moving it to different, moving it to the different machines to be processed. Once it's processed, moving it to the docks to be picked up and sent out. So basically you're just moving mail around the inside of the facility. And it's a big facility here. It's like a warehouse. And Warrendale also has 2 facilities in Thornhill Industrial Park. They deal a lot more with packages, where we do a lot more here with letter mail. Okay. Now seasonal we have now that's starting in November. It'll start November to like January as a holiday clerk assistant. Let's see, the postal support employees make $18.15 an hour, and the mail handler assistants make $16.55 an hour. And these rates are negotiated with their unions. There's different unions for the carriers, the rural carriers, the clerks, and the mail handlers. And we do have some temporary mail processing assistant and clerk assistants. Again, that would be $18.15 an hour. Okay. All right. So if we go into our job search, we want to see what jobs do we have available in the area. The keyword, you could put Pittsburgh. You could see what jobs are in Pittsburgh. Or if you lived in New Kensington, you could put New Kensington. Or you want PSE, you could put PSE. And then normally you just put the location. I never put anything in the functional area just because it seems like it, if something doesn't match exactly, it won't show up as being vacant. So I just usually put something in the first 2 keywords. Now I just looked before I came on just to see what Pittsburgh, I think Pittsburgh has mail handler associates for the facility here on the north side. And in Warrendale, they still have the PSE clerks and the mail handler associates. I did not see the posting for the city carrier assistant, but that'll probably go up in a day or 2. The postings, because of COVID, have only been up for 3 days, which is a very short time. So it's a constant checking to see if there's something that you're interested in, to see if it's available and to apply to the position.
Yeah, I wanted to just make a comment about that because I have been on that site, and it's just amazing to me because like sometimes I'll post positions, for our job seekers, and then they're gone. I mean, they are only there for what you said, 3 days. Now, why is that?
Well, it used to be 5 days. They're trying to get people on the rolls as quick as possible. So they post it for 3 days, and then people have 3 days to test. And then, depending on the position, they're either sending out the motor vehicle or they're sending out job offers. They're trying to get the hires on as quick as possible. I think it's too short. I really wish they would at least do 7 days.
Yeah, just for everybody on here. I mean, it takes a while to go on there and make sure you make an account and do all the legwork, and then, be ready, have everything good to go, because you have to test, right?
Right. You have to, if you apply for a position, there are 3 different tests, or maybe 4 different tests, one for the clerk, one for the mail handler, one for the carrier, and I think there's a different test. Occasionally they have a custodian posting. So there are different tests. And if you fail the test, you're locked out for a year for that position. You're more than welcome to take the other test for the other positions, but you are, and it'll tell you the date you're able to test again. Unless the test is changed, you're going to be locked out a year. But
Lynn,
yeah, go ahead.
I have a question
City
regarding.
carrier position. It seems to, it's on there and then it drops off and then it's back on there. And is this a typical thing that is this just how it goes? So if you don't see it, if you go on there and you don't see it today or tomorrow, oh, it might be on there on Friday, or it might be on there. I've even had things show up on a Sunday, which I thought, oh, wow. Because usually Sundays things don't happen, but I have seen. And if you only have 3 days, like you basically have to be on there all the time, right?
I know. And especially with the COVID, because they say, well, we're trying to get our hires on, because it used to be they always did them for 5 days. In the past, we could put them up for 2 weeks, but they say we're trying to get the hires on. So there may only be a small amount of people that have applied because the other ones may have missed that opportunity. So
Lynn,
yes.
If someone actually applies for, say, the handler job and maybe the clerk job, and they take the tests for both of those, they don't get the job with that first one, and they keep going back and they keep applying, are they going to have to keep taking the test over again? Or does that test cover them for a while? And on top of that, if they were to apply, say, to the city, and then they wanted to apply to, say, Cranberry, will it cover them in Butler County, the one they take in Allegheny County?
Yes, the test is good for at least a year or two until it's changed. So no matter what, you know, once you take the test, you have that score with you, and you can't retake it to get a better score. You know, I've had people ask me, and the way it's set up, it's just not set up to do that. But the score will follow you. And again, it's going to be attached to your profile, which is pretty much attached to your email. That's how we discern people, is their email address, because nobody can have the same email address. But the score will live with you. Yeah. Now, if you say,
have to go take it county to county in order to get a job.
Right. Yeah, no, not anymore. And one of the things is that if you apply for a position in Pittsburgh, say you applied for the city carrier in Pittsburgh and you're getting ready to be hired. Well, say you live in New Kensington and New Kensington comes up and you're like, oh, I really want to work in New Kensington. You can apply for that position in New Kensington. And if your name and your score is reached, if you've already started working, you can, you know, we can transfer you over to New Kensington. It's technically not a transfer since you're being hired from the outside. But if you apply externally on our website and your name is reached, you know, you can be offered that job. Now, if you haven't started work yet and you're offered the job for a PSC clerk, and then they offer you the mail handler job, which you have 3 days to accept the job. If you had accepted the clerk job and the mail handler job comes to you and you say, yes, I'd like the mail handler job, it's going to ask you, you have previously accepted the PSE clerk job. Are you now declining that job? And you would either say yes or no, so that it would know what list to hire you from, because we can't hire you from both. Okay. All right, let me go on here.
Do you go by score as far as hiring or calling people for interviews? How does that work?
Yes, we do go by score. Now, depending on the office, like the city of Pittsburgh has, you know, 19 branches and stations underneath it. So they're gonna hire pretty much everybody that applies. If they're interested and they pass the driving. Right now, due to COVID, we are not drug testing. So I don't know when that'll go back in effect, but currently we're not drug testing. So You know, that's one thing I like to, you know, make sure people know, because in the past we always have, but a lot of times they were trying to go and the, you know, the places were closed or the hours were limited. So as of right now, it's been waived, the drug testing. But you know, once you apply, you know, make sure you click apply, and you have to make sure your pop-up blockers, because you're gonna it's going to say here, okay, you're applying. This is example of a job, which happens to be Seattle. But you want to get, when you hit apply, you're going to get information to go to the next page. And at the very end, you know, you're going to release and submit your application. If you just hit apply and nothing happens, you have not applied. You want to get that confirmation email. It says, thank you, your application has been submitted. This position requires an exam and you have not taken it. Here is the link. You know, you will be sent the link to take the exam, and you have to take it within 72 hours. Okay, so this is what a normal job posting looks like. And this one was up September 10th through the 13th. Unfortunately, like I said, just the 3 days. So that once you hit that continue button, comes up and you select next page until you get here. And if you need to, say you created your profile 6 months ago and you need to update something, you know, you held a job that you want to list, you can do that. All right. This is the application wizard, because it's going to ask if you want a cover letter. That's not necessary. Click next page. If you decide you need to add attachments, click next page. Summary of accomplishments. To be honest, we don't look at that. At this point in time, we don't have time, so we don't. So I don't want you to waste your time. Application, really quick, add references. We do ask about references. You can go ahead and add those. If you have any, this is authorization and release. And if you have any aliases, you know, if you were married before and you had a different name or you changed your name, you do want to list those. And the previous addresses and the authorization and release. Okay, should you be considered? The following is required for background check. Okay, you want to complete the fields. And that's where you've lived for the last 5 years. This is the Privacy Act statement. They ask you to read it and answer the questions. That's just for, I guess they, you know, run reports and say how many people that we have hired that are of this nationality or the other nationality. And this is EEO and disability, and you definitely can't read that. That's if, you know, maybe you do have a disability, you have one hand or something like that, you would want to mark that. And then we can see, you know, if we could accommodate you for the position. And again, when you get to the very end, you certify everything is true. You want to check the box to release your profile and send application. And that covers the application process. Now, this is where the exam, if the exam is required, it'll be sent to you via email. You can add these domains, because sometimes the stuff we send, the information we send goes to spam or junk mail, and people miss job offers or background checks. So this, if you add these links, then you won't miss any of that information. And that was the, let's see, the before you apply, the job application facts, FAQs. That's where I was telling you here, the applying is always free. We never charge. And it seems like when I go down to the orientation to talk to the new employees, there's always someone that says, well, I paid $39.99, or, and I feel bad, but you know, those scammers are out there trying to get your money. This is the virtual assessment, and there are actually the 4 different positions, the 4 assessments. And I was wrong about the custodian. It's for customer service clerk jobs. So if you were going to do the SSDA, the Sales and Service Distribution Associate, you would have that test. And again, you have 72 hours. This just tells you if you didn't receive a passing score, it's going to say ineligible. If you start the test and you leave the room, you know, to go get something to eat or whatever, the test may time out and it's going to come up ineligible. So make sure it only takes about 45 minutes to take the test. So you want to just continue through the test so you can make sure you go through and complete it. So you don't get it ineligible just because you left the room. If you've started the test and you're ineligible, you have to wait a year. If you missed the link, say you're on vacation and you missed the link, if you haven't taken the test, you can apply again and take the test. Even though it says ineligible, it'll say your retest date is the same day that it expired. So you could take the test if you have not started it, okay? This is just on our website that has information about the virtual assessment, all other assessments, the background check, the employment requirements again, the residency requirement, that seems to be an issue. You have to live in the United States for the last 5 years. And we've had, if there are certain exceptions, if you were studying abroad, but then you have to get documentation to prove that you were studying abroad for whatever that time frame is. The safe driving record, can't have any suspensions within 3 years, no DUIs within the last 5. Okay. All right, and this just talks about the 5-year inquiry for any location where they've resided. And if we can't get the 5 years, then we can't hire you. This is the selective service where the men all have to register. This is the website where you can check your status. Again, you just have to have your last name. And if it's a junior or the second or the third, you have to put that in on how you registered because you may not show. Like if you're Frederick Jones Jr. and you just put in Jones, it may not show up. So you may want to make sure you put whatever your legal name is and how you would have registered. And again, you just need your birth date, your social security number, and the last name, and it'll give you your registration. There's a spot there you can verify it. There are great benefits to working at the post office. We do offer health insurance. You can sign up within 60 days of coming on, even if you are non-career. They have, I think they get 5 or 6 holidays paid now for the non-career positions. You earn annual leave. You know, once you become career, the benefits become much better. As far as life insurance, you are eligible for health insurance, but it is just through one company. When you become a career, we have hundreds of different options for health insurance. And then we have the thrift savings and we match 5%. You know, right now, since I've been over at the post office as a career for 15 years, I have 5 weeks in a day vacation, which is awesome. You know, I've been the thrift savings where they match it. It would kind of be silly for me to leave the post office at this time because I would never be able to match up with what I'm earning and with all the different benefits that are included. A lot of people start, when I started as a clerk, it took me 3 years to become career, and I really didn't think I was going to become career at the Postal Service. But when I was working in hiring and I was interviewing people and looking at the money that they made, the post office always seemed to be paying a higher wage than other places. And so for me, you know, and it's been a great job and career for me. It's helped pay my daughters for schooling, and I started when my daughters were young, and now my youngest is a senior in college, so it's helped pay for their schooling. So it's been really good for me. Of course, with every job, there's ups and downs, but it is really a great place to work. Again, this is where you go onto our website, create an account, log into your account. If you ever, if you've created an account 5 years ago and you've forgotten your user ID, you can always contact HR and me, and I'll be glad. I can look it up. I can tell you. I just looked up somebody's today because she had several different accounts, and you have to make sure the account that you want is attached to the email, because I think people sometimes make different accounts and get confused. But I can always look up your user ID. And if you have your user ID and email, then you can always get your password reset. These are just some of the different jobs. The rural carrier, we do hire tractor trailer operators. Those usually start off as a part-time flexible, which means their schedules can change. So, but they are a career, okay? But they usually start off, and you have to have a Class A CDL license. There's the city carriers, there's different sales careers, operational industrial engineers, supervisors. Now, I think that's everything. That again is our website. And that's everything I have on my screen. There, okay. So who has questions? Oh, there's the chat box. I couldn't see that when my thing was up. I always go on the test. Trish also helped me. All right, participant.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
So for the test, you said it can time out. Is it timed? Like if somebody would be normally needing accommodations for longer test taking, if they're actively engaged, can they take as long as they need?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
That's fine. But
as long as you're still working, it doesn't boot you out.
Right, exactly. Yes, and whoever Boo Boo is, oh, sorry, that was private. I'm kind of new at this, so I'm gonna tell her whoever this person is, they call me and I can look it up.
And that's what I was going to ask.
And it might be, Oh, I forgot to give you my phone number.
That's what I was going to say. What's the best contact if we have people that are like, I created an account and I can't find my old information, or it keeps telling me I'm not eligible. How does someone help me troubleshoot? So yeah, if you could share what the best phone number or email for those situations would be, that would be wonderful.
Sure. I love, that's one of the greatest things about where I am. My job is very positive. I'm hiring. I worked in training. I did work in injury comp a year. I didn't think I would like it, but I did like being able to help people and give them the information when they did have an injury on the job. But hiring has always been my favorite. I've always we used to go to the IBEW and we would test people back when the pencils and the testing and applications were all paper. That's probably 2003, so 17 years ago. Things have changed quite a bit because we would only test periodically. So it's great that as soon as you apply, you can get a test. But my phone number is there, and anybody can give me a call.
I have a question, Lynn.
Sure.
So what's the typical turnaround time from the time that somebody applies for a position to the time that they may be called and offered an opportunity? I don't know if you already spoke on that or not, but what's the average turnaround time on it?
I'd say average, you hear something within 2 weeks or so, but it depends on the job. And I can't hear you anymore, Dorian.
No, I just muted it so you could talk.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it depends on the position. Sometimes the driving takes longer. Sometimes the background check from the inspection service takes a little longer. Right now, things are taking a little bit longer because of the holidays and the whole country is hiring so many people. So it is taking more like 3 weeks or so.
Thanks, Lynn.
Sure.
Lynn, I have 2 questions. One deals with the holiday hiring that you do. I have a couple of senior citizens who are looking to do something along those lines. And, but one of them actually has worked for the county government. But if they work for the county or the state government, is that going to affect their pension and what they, and their, the money that they make through you? Or is that
Not
just the
through the
federal?
state. It's just the federal.
Okay. And the second question is, I also have some guys who are graduating with their CDLs and are going to be looking for jobs driving tractor trailer. Do you do the tractor trailer positions? Are they over the road, or do they have some that are local?
The ones that we hire for are all local. I mean, they're going to work like a regular shift. They're going to go home every night. So it's just going to be in our district. You know, they may have to drive to Erie. We go to State College, Erie to Wheeling. But yeah, they would be home every night.
All right, excellent. Thank you.
Sure. Does anybody have any other questions?
I'm just going to ask, Lynn, what do you see as the most needed position right now? What is your most urgent need for hiring?
Well, right now, I know our facilities in Warrendale are really struggling for clerks and mail handlers for the holiday season. Now, one of the things that happens if they get hired for the holiday season and say they're a clerk or a mail handler, they've taken a test and they have a score. If they don't get terminated or they don't quit and they finish out the appointment, they remain on a list. So if, okay, they decide they need to hire 5 more clerks, well, they're going to take the people that were there for the holidays in score order that, you know, finished out the appointment, and they're going to offer them a 360-day appointment, which eventually could lead to career. But again, they have to stay through the holidays, and, you know, they can't get terminated or quit. But that right now, and also the city carriers in Pittsburgh, it's a struggle because we have people getting converted. And so the city carriers offer flexibility to the offices, because once you're converted, you have a set route, set time that you're working, and they need the CCAs to fill in. We do mail for Amazon on Sundays. So we have Amazon Sundays, which the city carrier assistants, they just deliver packages on Sundays. Rural carrier assistants deliver on Sundays. We have a contract, you know, you'd be surprised. We have a contract with UPS, FedEx. FedEx may have just ended, but Amazon to deliver the last mile. So it's more cost effective for them to pay us to go, if we're going out in the, you know, in the boonies anyhow to deliver a package, than for them to send, you know, their whole truck out there. And, you know, it's just more cost effective for them to partner with us.
Okay, Lynn, can you explain a little more about career and non-career? Because I think that's kind of, you know, a question that a lot of people have. And you did speak about the career opportunities, that the benefits are better and this and that. But basically, these are non-career, but they can turn into career. Is that right?
Right. And about 95% of our positions start off as non-career, which means, you know, you're the clerk, you're the carrier, the mail handler. There's a few positions, you know, like the tractor trailer operator, the operational industrial engineer, automotive technician, where you need a specialized training. So they hire those career from the outside. But everybody else, I mean, the last Postmaster General, Megan Brennan, she started off as a non-career carrier. And, you know, once she got converted, then she was able to move up into positions. In conversions, it's to do with union and management and percentages compared to the workforce. So there's never a time frame. We can't say you're going to get converted in 6 months, you're going to get converted in a year, because it's all going to depend on those items, percentage of how many full-time clerks there are in the office, and that sort of thing. So it's all has to do with the union and the management on when the conversions take place. Did we lose everybody?
No, that's good, very good information. Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions for Lynn?
Lynn, do you also have an
Sure, I'll put it in here now. I'll send it to everyone.
And I wanted to ask, because I don't know, I find it frustrating when I go on the website. You basically have to sift through the state to find your area. Is there a faster way to do that?
Well, if you know, for instance, that you want like New Kensington, you can put that in, because they're only going to show 100 of the jobs that are listed. So say, I posted New Kensington, and then at the end of 3 days, it's way down here, you may not see it. So you can put like Pittsburgh, you could put city carrier assistant, if you want to try to narrow it down to see what positions are available. But that's probably the best way. Either you did it by craft or by location. But if you put in New Kensington and there's nothing posted, nothing's going to show up. But if you put in Pittsburgh, whatever's posted for Pittsburgh will show up.
Okay.
So
that sounds good.
But yeah, our process, I like I said, I wish it would be up longer than 3 days. It doesn't give applicants enough time.
It really doesn't. But for everybody on here, it's good information, because that's just that's, I don't know, it's kind of unusual to have a job it's there for 3 days and then it's gone. So act fast if you see what you want, right?
Right. Well, and the thing about like the mail handlers and the ones that we really do need, they should be back-to-back postings. Like when this one comes down, the next one goes up.
Okay.
And
yeah, I've seen that happen.
A day or two.
So word of advice, if you see something and you miss it, just keep going back on, because it's going to probably show up again in a day or two.
Right.
Okay. These are mysteries to us. You must know.
Well, sometimes it's a mystery to me. I think sometimes they look at numbers and think of what's the best way. How can we get people on quick? Well, let's have a posting up for 3 days.
Right. So that's why they have to close it in order to hire them, and then they go back and post it again.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody. Anybody else have any questions for Lynn? You covered a lot of good information, and thanks everybody for joining. And if you will be so nice as to let us know at CareerLink if you get hired, we'd be thrilled to know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Oh, thank you. And I have my email out there and my phone number. So I do have a telethon at 1 today. So if I don't get back to you, I try to get back to everybody as quick as I can. But sometimes, we have these telethons and things. I'm a little bit delayed, but usually I'm pretty good about getting back to you as soon as I can.
Thanks, Lynn. I really appreciate the opportunity for me and my participants to be able to join this meeting. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks you.
Thanks a lot, Lynn. We appreciate it. And goodbye, everyone. Thanks again.
Yep. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks,
Goodbye.
Lori. Thanks,
Afternoon.
Thanks,
Thank
Lori.
you, everyone.
Bye. I guess I'll see you
Bye.
back on the phone soon. Okay.
Yeah.
Take care. Thank you.